Three Astros have made it into phase 2 of the All-Star balloting. We'll talk about that. What do they need to do to move forward and continue to climb and get over 500? And our friend Michael Schwab is going to join the show in the second segment. Thank y'all for tuning in. Let's go.
Jainel Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
Hey there, and welcome into another edition of Locked On Astros. I'm Htown Wheelhouse, and you can find me at Htown Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me at Stros411 on X and on Facebook. You can find me at Back to the Bullpen on X, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel there at Back to the Bullpen, but make Locked On Astros your first listen every single day. I'm flying solo tonight. Thank y'all for tuning in. Look, it's an exciting eve of a 13-game road trip, I believe. We have quite the contest coming up against the New York Mets, who are at 39-39. The Astros are at 40-40, and I like the Astros' chances on a Friday night. We'll talk about that. But let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the place you need to go for all your tickets. Go right now. Use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off your first purchase. Look, I just used Game Time. I got my tickets for myself and a friend to go watch the Dodgers play the Astros, the first game that they come to town, big and bright Friday night. The Astros and the Dodgers. Ohtani's coming to town. I don't know if Betts is going to be off the IL, but they got a team. Freddie Freeman, it's going to be fun to see the Astros and Dodgers clash, and we're hoping that the Astros are well above 500 before the lost again Dodgers come into town. But thank y'all for tuning in. What is up, everybody? What's up, Mr. 7? How you doing? I'm actually Mr. 713. My bad. What's up, Mr. Rashad? Susan, welcome. Hans, Romano, what's up with the thumbs down? Garrett Crockett, you mean Garrett Crochet? Is Garrett Crockett the cousin of Davy Crockett? I would like to know that, David. David, I hope you are positive tonight because, you know, we're always positive, always Stros. But, hey, let's talk about some fun stuff before we opine and pontificate about the possible trade, because we're going to save that talk until Mr. Schwab gets in here about 8:45. So who made it through the All-Star balloting for the American League for the Houston Astros? Well, you have at second base in first place Jose Altuve. And so he is the leading vote getter at that position. Then you have Kyle Tucker, who is one of 4 that advanced. Now it shows him 4th, so I'm assuming maybe Santander jumped in front of him. So you're going to have to make sure you go get your votes in. You don't get as many votes this time. And then, of course, Yordan Alvarez. Look, if Yordan Alvarez doesn't win the DH over Ryan O'Hearn, no offense to Ryan O'Hearn. Ryan O'Hearn's having a phenomenal year, but Yordan Alvarez is the man. So we have 3 All-Stars that are going to be more than likely going to the All-Star game. The All-Star game is going to be in Arlington, and I don't know about y'all. I haven't made my decision yet. I've got my tickets for FanFest. They had a special with your if you had a Capital One card, you could get free tickets to FanFest. I got those, and I'm considering getting tickets to the Home Run Derby, so I may be going to that because I didn't get to go when it was in Houston, and I think that would be fun to go to. Who knows? Maybe future Astro Vladimir Guerrero Jr. will be there. I'm joking. But seriously, how are y'all doing? How are y'all feeling about the 500? You know, I do want to say this. I really like, I want to go into this because I didn't get to talk about it the other night because I actually had read the article after the show, but Chandler Rome, talked about how this club was thinking and what they were thinking about when it comes to being at 500. Okay. And so I've got a couple quotes from his articles that I want to share from Ryan Presley, and Mauricio Dubon also echoed these sentiments because we're at 500. So what do we do now? Do the Astros keep on the gas pedal? Do the Astros keep going up? I mean, we're about to play a team that's won 8 of their last 10 games. Actually, I think 12 of their last 14 or something like that. So I think the Astros are feeling good. Before I get to these comments, we've got Ronel Blanco versus Mr. Quintana, who is 3-5. Jose Quintana is 3-5 with a 4.58 ERA. When you look at his game logs, in June, he is 2-0. His last start, he went 6 1/3 inning. He had 8 strikeouts. Before that, he had 6 strikeouts. So he is 2-0. Before that, he only had 4 strikeouts and 1, gave up 2 home runs against Arizona and against Philadelphia. He had 1 strikeout. He gave up 6 hits and 3 earned runs. He only lasted 3 2/3 innings, but he's been solid for the most part. 20 innings pitched, 3.15 ERA, 2-0 with a total of 19 strikeouts this month. The month before, he was 0-3. The month before, he was 1-1. So if you have a pitcher to go against Ronel Blanco, I think Quintana is probably the guy that you want going up against him. So again, what is it about 500? What is the big stinking deal, right? Mike Stanton, a former major leaguer, would tell you that's not the bar. Now, it did come out today in an article that the Astros set a goal to get to 500 when they were in Mexico City. So we know that was clearly on the table, but let's see what they said, okay? There's no sense of relief, veteran setup man Ryan Presley said. This team expects to win. It's nice to win series and get some sweeps and have a good homestand, but it's all for nothing if you go back into your old same ways. This is an opportunity to capitalize on some momentum, and this team knows how to do that. When you start getting content, when you start getting content and you start getting comfortable, that's when stuff starts to slide again. Then he continues, are we happy that we're playing good? Obviously, everybody loves to win, but that doesn't mean that you take your foot off the gas anymore. Presley said, you're still down in the division, 4.5 games. You have to go out there and keep winning, make up ground, whether you're at 500 or above 500. If you don't win the division, it's kind of all for naught. And I think you and I, as Astros fans and people that have followed this team through the thick and thin, would agree with that. And that's where we want our team. Remember, we had these discussions a few weeks ago, how it seemed like the Astros, it was almost like they were lacking something. Like, what were they missing? They seemed to be missing that spark. We were talking about the days of old with Carlos Correa, with George Springer, with the fire, with the passion. Altuve's not that guy. Yordan's not that guy. And I really think that this team was having a hard time because the amount of success they've had, when you go from the highest of highs, not really to the lowest of lows, but pretty close, you've got to deal with that between your ears. And this club, and I've said it from the beginning, I've said it all year, if there's any club that can climb out of the hole that they've been in, it's the Houston Astros. And I love, because I've heard a lot of smoke and a lot of talk about, well, does Joe Espada have the clubhouse? Does he not have the clubhouse? Is he leading well? Is he a good coach? If you saw the embrace that he gave Spencer Arrighetti, he whispered something in his ear, and then like the second he pulled away, Arrighetti jumped up and gave him a hug. That is all I need to see. I don't need to hear rumors. I don't need to see stories. I don't need to read it in the media. That is what I need to see. Y'all, Joe Espada, we got to give him some grace. We got to give him some growing room. He's not your stalwart veteran like Dusty Baker. I mean, heck, Dusty Baker was a Star Wars veteran. We criticized the hell out of him, and we never gave him a shot. Someone goes, rest in peace, DJ Screw. Holiday in Houston today, June 27th. Yeah, before we get to our break, I saw those hats. I'll just be real honest. I'm a hat guy. I am not paying $68 or $285 for a snapback hat. There is no way. You got to give me fitted, like the fancy box. I could care less about the box. Now, I hear the resale on that 285 hat is about 400. So if you can guarantee me I'm going to resell all of them, I'll do it. But they sold out of that stuff quick. I wasn't a real big DJ Screw fan. I mean, I don't know that I really fit that type. I mean, I loved rap music growing up, but that wasn't really my jam. I was more Ghetto Boys guy, Too Short, guys like that, back in the 90s, kicking it. Bill Biv DeVoe, the guys like that. But you know what? Up next, after we take our break, we're going to have our friend Michael Schwab join us. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Go to the website, Booking.com, or get the app today. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those cities you've secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, I'm talking about the cities of your rivals: Los Angeles, Boston, New York, Chicago, Seattle, Tampa Bay, wherever it is you want to go. If you haven't been there, why not show up? Show up when the Astros are in town. Show up when they're not. Scout for the team. Send in that report to the head coach. Maybe they can use it with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more. Booking.com has you covered. You might find your perfect stay, even in your baseball rival city. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the USA for your summer travel this season. So go to Booking.com or get the app Booking.com today. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer games, and the sports aren't sporting like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. I mean, look, baseball is still here. We know the NBA draft is happening. Pretty soon you'll start seeing training camp for football. There are so many things to be thankful for in the sporting world. There's still soccer and cricket. I mean, I'm sure you can find some stuff there to bet on. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head over FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most of your summer. FanDuel. It's the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. All right, let's welcome in our friend, Mr. Michael Schwab. Michael Schwab, thank you for joining us. I do appreciate you, sir. Thanks. Hey, man, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, absolutely, Brett. Thanks for having me. I mean, it's been a while. My apologies, but look at you, YouTube. You're doing all this stuff. You got 11,000 subscribers now. You're killing it, man.
Dude, we are loving it. And tonight we have got pretty much all of our regulars here. This is a great crowd, man. We've got a smart crowd. I absolutely love them. They are the real MVPs, really. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be anybody. So, man, Michael, I want to dive right into it. Because you, sir, went on radio in Houston, and I think you made Jeremy Brennan almost lose his water when you mentioned Vlad Guerrero Jr. Now I want you to tell me about that, about kind of what you know, and then I want you and I to discuss, like, is that a realistic possibility, or where do you think they should be looking? But tell us about the information that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's fun. I mean, being in this situation with, having this growing following and Twitter and all the fun things like that, wonderful people I've got to meet, sourcing and all those people, front office, players, coaches, everyone. And through those things, there's lots of fun conversations I get to have. And so yesterday, just chatting about the team, sometimes things just kind of fall in your lap a little bit. And they were just like, a front office person or source close to the front office was like, hey, Vlad's someone that the team really is excited about, very, very interested in. I said they're interested, one of their top choices. The reality of that happening, there's a couple ways that go into it. I mean, number one, the Blue Jays have to just keep losing. I think there's 13 and a half games back from first, which they're not going to get. They're 6.5 back from the wild card.
Right.
So it's not there yet. So, the Astros, they want something. They want a big bat. No question. They also need starters, and they need a reliever, probably like a veteran reliever. But a big bat like Vlad, who you have also for next year, he's in arbitration one more year. He's a free agent in 2026. You got someone like that who can come in with a huge bat who will just crush it into the Crawford boxes. And he's got the first base, maybe DH for you as well. It's a perfect fit for getting him. You got to have to go against the Yankees, who are interested as well. And you got to give up big talent. You got to give up a major league player. That's a one or two. And then you got to go prospects. And guess who's the VP of player development for the Blue Jays?
James Click.
James. That's right. So who do you think he'll want? Jake Myers, probably.
Yeah. Jake, I was thinking Jake Myers. I was thinking Melton. I was thinking possibly Pedro Leon. I think he's shown enough at the plate. Look, this guy right here, I was just looking up his numbers. Shea Whitcomb, last 37 games, 366, 437, 683 slugging, 6 doubles, 2 triples, 12 home runs, 38 RBI, 11 stolen bases, 10% walk rate, 20% K rate, a 171 WRC plus. You tell me that they're not looking at Shea Whitcomb. That's the thing. James Click is like, hey, we got some diamonds in the rough over there. So my question to you is, I think they could make the money make sense, because I think he settled with his arbitration this year was either 19 or 19.5. So next year it might go up, 23, 24 possibly. And if you do have Verlander coming off the books, if he doesn't reach his innings limit, if you do have Bregman coming off the books, if he doesn't come back, I mean, you do have money leaving the payroll. So it's not a numbers thing. It's a, what are you willing to give up? And, Schwab, I want to ask you this. If the Astros, so let's say the Blue Jays keep losing, because we're going to stick with the Vladdy thing, and then we'll move to pitching, because everybody's like, well, we need pitching. And trust me, we know that. We talked about that ad nauseum. Everybody knows that. But if the Blue Jays keep losing and the Astros are clearly winning, I guess if you get Vladdy back and he just outperforms even what he's been doing this year, it's a win. And do you think there's maybe not as big of a hole with Jake Myers being gone as we would think, because we've got Dubon, because we've got McCormick, because we have Loper Fido, because we have Tucker? Do you think that's the only reason why we have Myers that would be, or do you think losing Myers would hurt us?
Well, who's the starting center fielder last year? It was a platoon.
Yeah. I was I don't think there was one.
Right. Who was the starting center fielder in 2022? I mean, it was Siri for a lot of it, but it was a platoon. I mean, you've got to look at it as like, where do you want the platoon to be? Do you want it to be somewhere that you've got depth? Chas McCormick has shown that he can play that. Joey Loperfido can play that.
Right.
Do you bring up Melton? Those are things where you got to look at it. Dubon can play it. So it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. Okay. Now, Jake Myers is a Gold Glove level center fielder. Absolutely. And that's something that a team like the Blue Jays would absolutely love, like any team would love. But when you look at first base and you look at the production from what Dubon's doing and what Singleton's doing,
right?
When you bring in someone like Vlad into there, you absolutely bring in that 19 million, 22, 23 million next year. I mean, you're going to lose Bregman. There's no way he's coming back. And it's not even sourcing. It's just, he wants several years. It's not a money thing. It's everything with that. And so, for the team, they can make that happen. Now, you just don't want to lose too many major league players. Like, you can't lose Chaz and Jake. But
now, so let's say they make Vlad happen. I mean, are they going to want a blue ball? Are they going to want Gordon? Are they going to want? I mean, because blue ball just got Player of the Week in the PCL. He's pitching out of his mind. This tall lanky kid. Are they going to want Shea Whitcomb? But let's just say they make that trade. If they make the trade for Vlad, do they still have enough in the hopper to make a trade for another pitcher for maybe Eric Fetty in Chicago, who is, I think, 5-2 or 5-3? What's weird is Chicago's got some really good pitching. I don't think we get Crochet, just because I think his selling point is way too high. He's kind of like, the sellers are few and the buyers are many. So this is really not a buyer's market. This is a seller's market. And if you have talent that has 2 or 3 years under control, you can ask whatever you want for that guy. And so do you think we have enough to also go get a pitcher if we do make the trade for Vladdy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can get a number one or number two. But
Right.
think about it this way: you've lost Javier, you've lost
Urquidy.
Urquidy. So you've lost a 3 and you've lost a 4 or 5. Use a 5.
Okay.
You need to replace one of those people. You need depth. Now, the thing to really look out for is Blanco is pitching at a limit. Brown, he's able to get there. Arrigetti's pitching at a limit. These are things that they haven't pitched for a long time in their lives. So you got to get them through the season, but then you got to shore up your postseason rotation, and that's you need 3 to 4 guys. And so Garcia, maybe he's ready to go for the postseason. Hopefully Lance is too. So you got to find someone who's kind of a mid-tier starting rotation type of player. Who is that? That's hard to say. Do we have the prospects? Do the Astros have the prospects for that? Yes, absolutely. Listen, here's the deal. If you look at the top 100, which is a whole marketing thing,
Right.
it's all marketing. And Dana Brown said it great on the radio the other day. He was talking about how it doesn't matter where you were drafted. It matters how you perform.
Exactly.
And that's just the truth, is that the Astros have one of the best development systems. Them and the Guardians are just phenomenal at it. I mean, I think we've got 20 homegrown players
Right.
in the 40-man, 13 on the 26.
Wow.
So you go down the list and you say Jacob Melton, Luis Baez, Bryce Matthews, Zach DeZenzo, Lo Perfido. Yeah, there are guys on there that can get something done. The only problem, Brett, is this. When you have like a trade from the Yankees or other teams that have big prospects that are like top 5 and 100, then you have to give up more. So then you got to give up a Baez and a Melton, and you got to give up Matthews. So that that's the difference. Like, and that's just you're just decimating your farm system even more.
Because
right,
because I just don't see Dana parting with Bryce Matthews is this kid is going to be a superstar. I just him Baez. Michael, and two, we may see a dip in production from this team win wise, but when these younger guys come up and they become major league players, we may talk about the next wave of Astros great players. We have had a wealth of talent. Alex Bregman has never not been to the ALCS in his career. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's insane. But you know what? Hey, we're going to take a break real quick. Would you mind hanging on for
Let's do it.
For a little bit longer? Excellent. I appreciate it. All right, let's take a break and then we'll get back to it after these words. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app today and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. I've told you that you can get your tickets at a cheaper price the closer you wait until first pitch. But I went ahead and got my tickets for the Astros Dodgers series in July because I'm excited about it. I'm going to that first game Friday night. I got my tickets and I got an amazing deal. The thing is, the tickets, you don't have to guess what they're charging you at the end. There's no surprise charges because it's an all-in-one pricing. They also have last-minute deals if you want that, flash deals, zone deals. Easy to find. You can buy MLB tickets 2 clicks and they're in your phone. You don't have to search through your email. Lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and so much more. They will credit you 110% the difference if you find a ticket that is in the same row in the same section that's cheaper on another site. That's right. So download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Yeah, make sure you also make us your first listen. Make sure you turn into Locked On Sports today. It's the only 24/7 sports streaming channel. All sports stories all the time, whether it's Caitlin Clark or the Celtics or the Panthers or the Astros going back to another World Series. Locked On Sports today has you covered. And check out Michael Connor with the Locked On Astros postcast after tomorrow night's game. He will be live checking you out, doing all the game breakdowns. He's doing a great job. Actually, he hit 1,000 subscribers already. So they're fast growing. I see some of our listeners over there. I watch some of his shows. So y'all are doing a good job supporting both of us. I appreciate it. Michael, I didn't say this earlier. Tell us where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So, honestly, all on Twitter or X as they're calling it now. Michael Schwab 13. There's probably 12 other Michael Schwabs ahead of me that are cooler. So I had to take the 13th one.
Exactly. Hey, man, there's nothing wrong with that. I always wondered if you were related to Charles Schwab. And I say that because I have a lady who works at my school. Her last name is Schwab, and I asked her the same thing. I guess you get that a lot, right?
I get it all the time, and I tell them, listen, if I was related to Charles Schwab, I'd be on a helicopter right now. I mean, who knows? I probably wouldn't be covering the Astros. We'll see.
Right. Well, I don't know that you and I would be friends. Right?
I'd be a loser. That's what I would be. I'd be a big loser if I was related.
Dude. But okay, so we have no idea what's going to happen at the trade deadline, but I think Mike Stanton said it best on my back to the bullpen podcast, where he said it's still very early. Okay. And, sometimes there are things, and I educated our listeners last night, and I said, look, a conversation that a team has could mean that they picked up the phone and said, hey, is he available? And not much happens after that. So when we hear leaks, when we hear stuff coming out, yes, they're probably tapping the phone, but not every single time a conversation happens doesn't mean a deal's about to get done. And I think in our 24/7 news cycle, it creates us to be like hyper reactive, right? So that's what we want to try to avoid. So Michael's not saying like he knows it's ironclad. He's just saying, look, he is someone that they're looking at. And Dana said we would like a guy with the 900 OPS at first base. And of course, then you come on and say, yeah, by the way, the Astros are interested in Vlad Guerrero Jr. Because look, if they are going to go get a bat, and we'll get to the pitching a little bit more, if they are going to go get a bat and they're looking at Pete Alonso or Vladdy or whoever else, Pete Alonso to me is a one-trick pony. He hits home runs, and I don't know how much value he has after that. But how do they sustain the success? They're going on a 13-game road trip. They're meeting the Mets, who just crushed the Yankees. Thank God for that. We love anytime the Yankees get beat on this show. And they are at 49-49. We are at 50-50, right? Is that our
40-40?
40-40, and they are at 39-39. I'm sorry, I had my numbers all wrong. So we're both 500. We both just reached 500. This is going to be kind of a playoff atmosphere. I don't know if you felt that in Baltimore, but I was at that game Friday night, and I felt like I was in a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, how you sustain this is kind of what you're doing now. The couple of different things that are making it work right now. So I've had conversations with players, people in the clubhouse. The vibes are immaculate. Vibes are strong. Guys are feeling good. And they're able to do that because they all trust each other. People are stepping up. And you have a player like Tucker go down, and they still keep playing. That's what shows you the resiliency of this team is next man up. So what has been the biggest thing is that if you look at the past few months of this team, their batting average has pretty much stayed the same. Everything besides runners in scoring position, who they're doing much better with. The offense has been pretty much on par. It's the pitching that is the game changer. And what can you say but Ronel Blanco, Hunter Brown, and even Fromber? Even Fromber's doing more quality starts. And then you look at Spencer, who had a game of his life yesterday. And that's the type of stuff they have to maintain. So you're going to the Mets. You're going on the road, which on the road right now, their ERA is not the best, the Astros.
Right.
So they have to continue the pitching to be good. They got to go at least 6 innings. That's the recipe for success right now.
I agree.
Is go at least 6 innings, get a quality start if you can, because the offense hopefully will keep you there. Because, it's just like when you're driving with a flat and you just started a road trip, you're not going to get to San Antonio on time.
Right.
If you get a flat, if you make it and then you're closer to there, you can figure it out. But when you have a starter that goes down in 2 to 3 innings, that messes the entire game up. Hitters are starting to press. It doesn't work great. They've always lived off hitting or off pitching. So you've got the Mets. Then you're on the road in July against the Blue Jays, then the Twins, and then you come back and you're playing Miami and the Rangers, and then it's the All-Star break. It's a pretty serious time, but it's doable. they can make it happen as long as the pitching holds up.
Yeah, exactly. And earlier, I miscounted by like 3 games. It's a 10-game road trip, not a 13-game road trip. That's quite a bit of difference. But yeah, someone thank you, Uncle KRV there. But so with this team, I see them continuing to trend upward. Seattle's going to have to go out and get some bats because their offense is just it's just really helter skelter. I mean, Julio Rodriguez is a big slump this year. He's not having the production, and this is a guy that we're like, oh my gosh, we have to face Julio Rodriguez for how many more years, and so on and so forth. But just to kind of wrap things up and put a bow on it. I don't know if you're into predicting stuff, but in these next 10 games, do you think the Astros can win each of the series they're in? Do you think they can go maybe 7-3, 6? I mean, would you be okay with 6-4, or do you think they need to go 7-3, 8-2?
Well, I mean, I think of it like this: get to the All-Star break above 500. Doesn't matter what it is. So you can go 500. You can go 6-4, and that still is fine because you're still 2 games over 500. But when I look at this, I think they can win every series. I think it's very possible because Brett, they've been playing at 66% or 60% winning percentage in June. So if they keep that up, they can, they can go 7-3 over this thing, and that's huge.
That is massive. That is massive. Yeah. And that's really what it's all about. It's about putting the numbers together, stacking wins on wins, but taking it one game at a time, literally. But yeah, this is a great time. Michael, thank you for stepping in, man. Eric actually came in on the comments. He said, "Hey, Eric, I know he's watching. He wasn't able to make it, but this has been another great episode of Locked on Astros. Y'all follow Michael on X. He's a great follow. Ask him questions. He will engage with you. But just pay attention to what this man says online, because look, some people out there just say things to say things. I know Michael personally, and he's not going to say something just to be slinging mud and saying. He's going to say stuff. But let me tell you, the tides can change, right, Michael? I mean, you could be, as a team, we're going full bore into this guy, and then all of a sudden something shifts, kind of like the Bryce Harper thing. A perfect example. Bryce Harper was pretty much all but an Astro. The owner of the Nationals said no. And that's the only reason why Bryce Harper never put on an Astros uniform. So, let's wrap this up. You say 7-3. And do you think that and we will end on this. Do you think Ronel Blanco deserves to be the starter for the All-Star game in this All-Star game in Arlington?
Do I think he deserves to be the starter?
Kind of threw you a curveball there, Michael. It's not fair. My bad.
Change up. No, I don't think he deserves to be the starter because, I think Huck has been much better, but he deserves to be an All-Star. And Ronel's been the difference maker. That's a Dana thing right there for stretching him out. But just with this team, they can go 7-3 before the All-Star break. And on when stuff leak about player names, a lot of times that's internal. And so that's an internal thing for Vlad. That's what the team wants. That doesn't mean that anything's going to happen. Right. But that's what's on the board. His name's there, and there are other player names as well. And so that you'll see that when you start hearing, John Heyman, all these guys are like, hey, the Yankees are looking at this player. That means that's internal discussion until you finally get like the bombs that are just like, this is happening now. Right. And last thing about just kind of how the sausage is made, a lot of trades that are happening were discussed in January. In February.
Wow. Okay.
And the Astros even had some ideas of a trade with the team that didn't happen during the offseason. It happens all the time. There are just there are just discussions along the way, and sometimes they dissipate a lot of times. But I can just say the Vlad thing is like they're interested in him. That's the thing to watch for. But this team, they're killing it.
And they do. And I believe they're looking at pitching too. It's like they need pitching. Whit, trust me, they know. Look, if you and I know, it's like Mike Stanton said, if you and I are discussing it, I'm pretty sure they've already had the discussion. So, but yeah, you know what?
And they'll get pitching. Yeah. They'll get pitching too.
Well, hey, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. You know what? We'll have to have you back when it's me, you, and Eric. We'll just have this big party. But thank you for tuning in to Locked On Astros, guys. Y'all go follow him. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. You know, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Help us get to 12,000, and make sure that you make us your first listen every single day. We appreciate you again, Michael. Thank you. All the best to you and your family. Thanks for stopping by. Y'all have a good one, and go Stros.